Good morning, everyone. We are experiencing a soft opening this morning, and it is wonderful to have you all here. Yay! Let's all stand up and sing together, Let Go and Let God. Some days I do. Some days I don't. Some days I will. Some days I won't. Some days I sink. Some days I float. Some days I get real smart and live by this quote. Let go and let God. Let go and let God. Let go and let God be in charge and let my worries go. Let go and let God. Let go and let God. Let go and let God be in charge and let my worries go. Some days I'm up. Some days I'm down. Some days I smile. Some days I frown. Some days I work. Some days I play. Some days I get real smart. And here's what I say. Let go and let God. Let go and let God. Let go and let God be in charge and let my worries go. Let go and let God. Let go and let God. Let go and let God be in charge and let my worries go. Let go and let God be in charge and let my worries go. Let go and let God be in charge and let my worries go.
Good morning, everyone. It's so awesome to see all your beautiful faces this morning. We're excited to have you, and we're welcoming you to a beautiful service. Today's special music is by Mr. Ryan Gill and our voices in harmony. Our announcements today: Unity of Music City is reopening on a limited occupancy. We will practice social distancing, and masks are required. The Namaste Cafe and children's programs are not available, so please plan accordingly. We request that you make reservations in advance. Tickets are available at unityofmusiccity.ticketleap.com/Sunday-morning-celebration. Again, tickets are available at unityofmusiccity.ticketleap.com/Sunday-morning-celebration. Unity chats on Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. Log into Zoom and hang out with friends and talk before the service. At 11, everyone will mute to watch the service. Hang out with everyone after the service as long as you like. Zoom meeting details can be found in the weekly email, What's Happening at Unity of Music City. Call the office to get signed up for emails or follow us on Facebook. Also, join the Lunch Bunch Book Club via Zoom every Wednesday morning at 11:30. They're reading the book Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer on August the 12th. Text Karen Burr. Her number is 931-581-6116. Again, that's Karen Burr, area code 931-581-6116 for more information. The Healing Arts Ministry is sponsoring a virtual energy wellness clinic the second Friday of the month using distance energy techniques. If you've never experienced it, it is amazing. People kind of question what that's like. And it's just like being there with the person, only you're not in the same room. The energy heals just as well as it does from a distance as it does in person. So I strongly encourage everyone during these crazy times to check them out and see what they've got going on. You can send your request to the Healing Arts email at uomcenergywellness@gmail.com. Again, that is uomcenergywellness@gmail.com. Love offerings can be received at www.unityofmusiccity.com/donate. Again, those donations, love donations, can be sent to us at www.unityofmusiccity.com/donate. The prayer chaplains, very exciting news, are holding a World Day of Prayer on September 10th. The theme this year is moving from fear to faith, and how more appropriate can that be during these times? So we would like to see you. The service will be at 7 p.m. On Thursday, September the 10th. We will be holding a 24-hour prayer vigil in addition to that, and we would love to have you join us, whether it be here in the sanctuary or possibly it's going to be an outdoor service, or whether it be on Zoom. The final Zoom meeting is Tuesday, October the 18th for Empowering Self for Personal and Community Change. Details for the Zoom meeting can be found in the weekly happenings. We will be taking a recess after this session. Again, the final Zoom meeting for that class is Tuesday, August the 18th. On Saturday, August the 29th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., the Sacred Community Outreach Ministry is having a drive-through donation day to collect items for all organizations we support. Food pantry, non-perishable food items, Souls for Souls, New Leash on Life, and Andrew Jackson Elementary. Andrew Jackson Elementary is looking for pants for both girls and boys in sizes 10, 14, 12, 16, or small adult sizes. The Restaurant Ministry's annual gala, Hope Sees, will be held on September 12th at 7 p.m., an inspiring evening to celebrate 5 years of serving at Good Hope Farms with moving musical performances and stories of hope. Hosted by Devin O'Day, this virtual event it will be held and have more information for forthcoming, or you can go to their website. Shall we do the offering prayer? Please know that your tithes can be done in person. For those of you who are in the sanctuary, there is the red bucket in the back where you can see Miss Benita Maddox, or you can also donate online. Of course, all tithing is what keeps us here and all of us together and running each ministry. So your tithes are very well appreciated. And if you don't mind to say with me at this time, the offering prayer. I am open to receiving floods of financial abundance with ease, so that I may be able to give back even more to the world around me. Thank you, everyone. Miss Jill.
Imagine that love is all around. See it, feel it, be love. Imagine that love is all that is found. See it, feel it, be love. When we become what we're longing for, we are knocking on heaven's door. Imagine that love is all around. See it, feel it, be love. Imagine that joy is all around. See it, feel it, be joy. Imagine that joy is all that is found. See it, feel it, be joy. When we become what we're longing for, we are knocking on heaven's door. Imagine that joy is all around. See it, feel it, be joy. Imagine that peace is all around. See it, feel it, be peace. Imagine that peace is all that is found. See it, feel it, be peace. When we become what we're longing for, we are knocking on heaven's door. Imagine that peace is all around. See it, feel it, be peace. See it, feel it, be joy. See it, feel it, be love. Just one more announcement before we do the sacred reading. This morning we are in a treat. We are in for a treat because we have Deb Moore with us. So let's welcome Deb Moore. Yay. The sacred reading this morning is from Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements. This selection is found in the fourth agreement, always do your best. The affirmation this morning is, I offer love to God by doing my best. Join with me in that affirmation, please. I offer love to God by doing my best. Doing your best is a great habit to have. I make everything a ritual, and I always do my best. Taking a shower is a ritual for me. And with that action, I tell my body how much I love it. I feel and enjoy the water on my body. I do my best to give to my body and to receive what my body gives to me. In India, they perform a ritual called puja. In this ritual, they take idols that represent God in many different forms and bathe them, feed them, and give their love to them. They even chant mantras to these idols. The idol itself is not important. What is important is the way they perform the ritual, the way they say, I love you, God. God is life. God is life in action. The best way to say, I love you, God, is by living your life, doing your best. The best way to say, thank you, God, is by letting go of the past and living in the present moment, right here and right now.
Let's take a few moments to enter into sacred silence together. Clear your thoughts wherever you are, whether you're joining us virtually or you're here in the building with us. Close your eyes if you choose. Get comfortable in your chair. Clear your thoughts. Stop. Just stop. Even that internal energy that still seems to move when we're trying to still ourselves. Ask it to stop. The human mind is opportunistic, and it will take every opportunity to distract you. It will use your distractions to slide into the driver's seat. And right now, it doesn't get to drive. It will use the distraction of the technological distance between us. It will use the distraction of whatever might be in the room with you right now. And those distractions will not remove themselves. Quieting them now requires an intentional desire on your part. If you cannot stop your thoughts, then engage them. Acknowledge them and then ask them to leave, to step outside the door for just a moment, and you will pick them back up when you are finished, when you are ready. This is the time for you and the divine. Om Namo Bhagavate. Om is the birthplace of Amen, the first sound of the universe, the Alpha and the Omega. Namo, I bow, the birthplace of Namaste. Bhagavate, God, the divine, or one who is becoming divine. Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate. In the silence. In the silence. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I bow to the God that is the life in all beings. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I bow to God, the God that is the life in all beings. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Always there for
Do y'all remember when Reverend Denise used to start talks by saying, "Get ready because I'm fixing to step on some toes"? Those were good times, weren't they? Those were really good times. Well, get ready. Now, I'm not really fixing to step on toes. I'm not intending to step on toes. And I don't think that Rev D used to really want to step on toes. I just think she was willing to. Because that was her job as a minister, right? Remember, she told us many, many times, my job is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable, right? So I'm not really going to step on toes. That's not my intention. But here is what I'm intending to do today, if I can. And that is, I'm going to hold up a mirror. Right? And whatever you see reflected in that mirror may be your work to do. But know this about that mirror is two-sided. So while you're looking in one side, I'm looking in the other. And any question that I might ask of you today, I ask of myself. So I'm going to start today, while we have our mirror here, with a little bit of real, open, honest truth. Now, I know honest truth is redundant. I teach this stuff, all right? As I was writing it in my notes this week, I thought, that's just redundant. If you're being honest, you're telling the truth. If you're not being honest, inherently you are not being truthful. But you know, I believe that if ever we needed a redundancy of truth, it is in these days in which we live today. So I'm going to give you honest truth. And I think just enough time has passed that it's time for us to begin having this conversation that I want to have today. For over 20 years, Denise Shurigan and Judy Blackwelder were the heart and soul of this spiritual community. When I first came here, Denise was the minister of music. Judy was just the piano player, right? We used to joke about that. And even then, they were already the heart and soul. One of the things that stood out to me was, Sherry remembers those days, don't you, Sherry? One of the things that stood out to me then was that we were a congregation of about 80 or 90 people, and probably 40 people were in the choir. Right? And that's because they already had that heart and soul energy that naturally drew people to them. And so they have been the heart and soul of what we do here for a very, very long time. Almost the entirety of this ministry. And I think maybe we need to talk about that a little bit. When Denise and Judy announced that they were retiring, I kind of knew it was coming, not because they had said anything to me, but because, you got to know it's coming sometime. And I had a thought. I thought that one of two things would happen. I thought that either this spiritual community would evolve, it would transform, it would become its next best incarnation. It would maybe become something completely brand new that we couldn't even imagine last year. Or it would all fall apart. And I can tell by the nods I'm getting in the room, I think there's probably a few of them on the other side of the camera too, that I wasn't the only one who had this thought. That we had that dichotomy playing in our head. It took a little while for me to realize that I was really only considering one option, transformation. I knew that transformation was going to happen, and transformation could be, it's all falling apart. Right? And then the pandemic hit, right? 1-2 punch for us right here, right in the middle of the transition that Denise had so beautifully crafted for us to be able to say our proper goodbye and to release and let go. Right in the middle of that, the world goes home, closes the door, locks it up. Right? And so now we can't even carry out that transition. And the same thing could happen with the pandemic. In light of the pandemic, one of two things might happen. We might figure out how to do things differently, how to transform, how to become who we're supposed to be in this moment, or it will all fall apart. One or the other. Now, you know, we used to begin each Sunday here by saying, "Welcome to Unity of Music City, a place of authentic transformation. It's who we are, it's what we do." And boy, did we affirm that, right? We are such powerful manifestors, we might have created a worldwide pandemic. I'm not so sure. Don't tell anybody. They might blame us. They're looking for somebody to blame, that's for sure. You might think to yourself, "Good Lord, why did we ever affirm that? Why didn't we just come here every Sunday morning and say, 'Welcome to Unity of Music City. Everything here is perfect the way it is and nothing ever needs to change.'" Right? And if you're thinking, "Why didn't we affirm that?" then maybe this talk is for you. Right? When I first came back in the building, it was interesting. Some of you maybe are back in the building for the first time since then. And it's interesting. For those of you who have not been back in the building, it still has our energy here. And it still has Judy and Denise's energy here. And that is not an oppressive thing. It is a beautiful thing. It's an uplifting thing. But the very first time I was here, it was a couple of weeks after the final Sunday for Judy and Denise. The first time I was in here, it felt strange. And so I took a picture of the special music folks who were getting ready, and I took a picture of the front of the stage, and I texted it to Judy and Denise, and I just said, "It's weird to be here without you." And I think that's the talk we need to have. It's weird to be here without you. And I set my phone down, and I waited for just a few moments, and pretty soon, a minute or two later, my phone buzzed, and I picked it up, and Denise had texted me back 2 words. "Everything changes." Now, thankfully, she put a little purple heart afterwards, so I knew that she was sending that with love, right? She didn't try to mollify me. She didn't try to help me through that. She didn't send me words of wisdom. She didn't say, "Oh, I know, girl, it's weird here too," right? She didn't do any of that. She didn't try to explain. She just said, "Everything changes. It's just a truth. It's just a solid truth." You know, we affirm transformation. We seek transformation. We love transformation. We go to workshops for transformation. Right? "Be ye renewed by the transforming of your mind." It's one of the 5 verses from the Bible that Unity people still like to say, right? "Be ye renewed by the transforming of your mind." We love transformation. We do not like change. We don't like change. And I think that maybe that might even be a little bit primal. It might be in our DNA. I'm not a biologist or a paleontologist or, whatever ologist studies this stuff. But it might be that back years ago, the cave people, when we were cave people, if the air changed, there might be a tornado coming. If the animal behavior changed, there might be an earthquake coming. Change could mean a threat to our survival. And so it could be that our lizard brain hardwired a reaction, a pushback against change. It could also be that in this modern context that we focus on the wrong things. In a change, we focus on something ending rather than something beginning. And change is bringing both of those things. During times when I was in leadership, either here or at the college, I learned a really important lesson. I'm sure Benita's learning this lesson as well, too. And that is this. No matter what you do, somebody's going to bitch about it. Yep. Hello, there's my amen corner right back there. No matter what you do, somebody's going to complain. Somebody's not going to like it. Somebody believes that you need to have their opinion about it. Right? I learned that lesson so well. At school, I'm not kidding you. I have literally seen people complain when it was announced that we were getting a raise. Because people will push back on anything. They won't have that opportunity this year, right? That's not going to happen. No. We heard you. We heard your complaints. No raise. This complaining feedback is so consistent. It is so predictable. It is so much a part of human nature that you could set your watch by it. I mean, it is like the rising of the sun and the going down of the same, right? It is so consistent that I decided, I made an unwritten rule when I was president of the board. You can borrow this if you want to, Benita. It may still be in effect. We've never overturned it. And that is this: whoever's present gets to make decisions. Period. Whoever's present gets to make decisions. And if you're not present, when somebody else makes a decision, the only response you need to have is, good on ya. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I want to use as an example today, those of you who are looking at us via camera may not be able to see this so clearly, but I want to use as an example what's going on our stage up here. Jackie Wilson, who's done special music for us, worked with Vic to make this setting up here on the stage. You know, there's a record player, which I think is perfect because we are prone to dance parties, and I think it's beautiful. We used to have dance parties here, by the way, those of you who don't like change. We changed away from dance parties. When did we stop dancing? And when I first walked in and saw this, I said, I love it. This is fantastic. Look, there's Buddha, and there's an Om symbol, and it's great. Looks like somebody's living room. And the reason why I loved it so much is because for over 20 years, I know for a fact, we've had an ongoing discussion in this spiritual community about what to do with the word church. What do we do with it? It used to be in our name, then we took it out of our name, then we got rid of center and church and anything altogether. But then there's a problem. What if people don't know we actually have a meeting on Sunday mornings at 11 o'clock? If I tell people that I go to church, they're going to see the church that they think of as church in their head, and that's not what our church is. And what do I do with that? And so when I walked in here and saw this, I thought, this is great. You know what? This building looks like church. Looks like the churches I grew up in. So this brought it all down a notch, right? Let's de-church this just a little bit. This is so much more us. And I want you to hear me loud and clearly, especially if Jackie Wilson is listening. I want you to hear this. I haven't heard a single person say anything negative about this. So if anybody's listening and they think that somehow through osmosis I have heard about it and I'm talking about you, I'm not. I'm not talking about you. I just know human nature, and I guarantee you someone said, what is going on with that? What is going on up there? And listen, it may have been you, and it's okay to not like it. It's okay to have a different opinion. That is perfectly fine. That doesn't make you a bad person if you have a different opinion. But we have to recognize what it is. We don't like change. We do this with everything. Someone reroutes traffic and we think, well, whose idea was that? Right? Someone changes the Namaste Cafe. Well, nobody asked me. And I'm looking in my two-sided mirror right here because let me tell you, folks, do you remember when they changed the direction of the aisles at the Hermitage Kroger? Anybody remember that? I got so mad I just stopped going. I already couldn't find stuff at the grocery store. If you sent me to the grocery store for baking soda, and I don't even know if it would be in a jar or a box or a can, right? You might as well plan a second meal for yourself in the interim. Because that's how long it's going to take me to find the baking soda. And then they changed the direction of the aisles. Whose smart idea was that? If they had not built the Providence Kroger, I would have starved to death. I would not be here today. We don't like change. And I'm sure somebody didn't like this. And that's okay. But what is not okay is for us to not recognize what's happening. And what we're talking about is judgment. Right? What we're talking about is judgment. This one line in my talk today, I wish that in your head You could bold it and underline it and italicize it and put neon lights around it. When we are trying to change, judgment is the opportunity that the human mind sees. When we are trying to change, judgment is the opportunity that the human mind sees. The human mind is opportunistic. It has a particular crack in everything that it can wedge itself into and try to take over, try to get in the driver's seat. And for change, the crack in the wall is judgment. Right? Change is happening. The human mind steps in through judgment. So our work in a season of change is the work we do around judgment. I'm ready for that first slide, and there we go. We've all heard something similar to this. When I looked up a definition for this or a statement about this on the internet, I don't even know who to attribute this to, or I would. When someone judges you, it isn't actually about you. It's about them and their own insecurities, limitations, and needs. We know that concept, don't we? But remember, we're looking in a mirror today. Right? So we have to change it around. When I judge someone, it isn't actually about them. It's about me and my own insecurities, limitations, and needs. And when we begin to own that, we can recognize it in our moments of judgment. And we can ask ourselves alone with just us and our mirror, because that's the only really good place to ask these kinds of questions, is alone with us in our mirror. What am I insecure about that is driving this feeling of judgment? What limitations do I feel? What is it within me that feels like an unmet need right now? Now, we all know that there is good judgment, right? Judgment is one of those words that slices both ways. There's good judgment, and we need good judgment. It helps us make good decisions. It's the kind of judgment that is connected to wisdom and discernment and appropriate levels of caution. Good judgment tells us that we put on a mask. We socially distance. We listen to experts. We take care of our neighbors and ourselves, right? That's good judgment. It's the birthplace of common sense. So what is the difference? How do I tell the difference between this good judgment and this poor judgment, this passing judgment on others? Here's another one to underline and bold and italicize in your mind. The same spiritual muscle that flexes to reach a sensible conclusion is the one that spasms when we pass judgment on others and their choices. The same spiritual muscle that flexes to reach a sensible conclusion is the one that spasms when we pass judgment on others. So how do we stop this spasm of judgment? If you're used to it, it's not really easy, right? I grew up in it. You know, Protestant fundamentalist religion was a hotbed. It was their stock in trade. I mean, what did they have if they didn't have judgment, right? So I grew up in that, and it feels normal, and you're just doing it constantly. It's like breathing. And every now and then you get a little bit of conviction, and you say, I'm going to stop judging. I'm going to stop. I recognize this judgment. I'm going to stop judging, and then you have to get around people. And people are crazy, right? They do crazy things. And even if you get to the point where you can handle people's craziness, even if you get to that point, you might encounter those people next to a friend of yours or your partner or a colleague or someone else with whom you have created a relationship where it's safe to gossip and talk about people. Right? So you've decided to not judge, and you see someone doing something crazy, and your bestie next to you says, well, now would you look at that? And you're off to the races. It's right? Katie, bar the door, because it's all bets are off. All bets are off. So how do we stop it? Stopping it is not a one-time deal. You don't just stop it and then it's done, right? We stop it, and we stop it, and we stop it, and we stop it, and we stop it. But stopping it is not really the way I want us to think about it today, because I don't think that works very well, to just try to stop it. So what we try to do is we try to find a way of successfully shifting it. And if we successfully shift it and we practice that, our spiritual muscle begins to have a new muscle memory. And that new muscle memory becomes the groove that we fall into. It's the way we're naturally inclined to go. So what we want to do is we want to shift from the spasm to the flex. Now, how do athletes do that? If a professional football player gets a hamstring pull or a flex or a spasm in his muscle, right? He's got a muscle spasm going on. He doesn't sit down on the sidelines and go, stop. He immediately gets up off the bench and he starts doing deep stretches and he starts running around, right? And he starts moving it, because he knows that the only way to get rid of that spasm is to engage that same muscle in a different way. To tell it that we're doing something different, right? We're flexing in a different way. So we don't stop judgment by asking it to stop. We stop judgment by converting it to right action, to sacred action. So when we're talking about change, we have some choices here. We can either engage in change, there we go, as a judgment or as a right action. We can decide to slide into judgment, or we can stop that spasm and say, I'm going to flex my muscles in the activity of right action. Judgment is the place where we watch it all fall apart. Because we have the option right now to sit back and say, well, I'm going to wait and see what everybody else does. I'm just going to sit back here and watch and see what happens, because I think it might fall apart. And then I'm going to pass judgment on everything, every decision anybody makes. Oh, what's the board doing now? Where's their head? Who's rearranged the chairs? Who's done this? Right? All that kind of stuff. Or we can engage in right action, and in that place we birth an evolution. That's where we birth the transformation that we share in together. And here's the thing. If we decide to sit in judgment and watch it all fall apart, then we are sending the energy of falling apart to our beloved spiritual community. And I'm going to ask those who are with me right now and those who are watching to just imagine, if you will, an invisible force field around this building that deflects all of that energy of falling apart. Because we don't want it. Right? We don't want it. And if that's what you're doing, then you're contributing. And if enough people do that, then we end up with an energy of falling apart. But if enough people engage in right action, we together will birth an evolution. And here's the thing, if you sit and you watch it fall apart, if you sit there and watch it in judgment, then you are probably going to get what you've asked for. Right? And then you sit back and you say, well, I told you so. I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. So, is there an off button on that thing? Because I'm trying really hard to push through it here, Sherry. Trying really hard to push through it. So if you sit there in judgment and you let it all fall apart, then you sit there and you're able to say, I told you so, right? I knew it. Can you see yourself now? I knew it. I knew that's going to happen. You know what? I said something to so-and-so 6 months ago. That's going to happen. I knew. It was coming, right? But if you engage in sacred right action, then you get to say, we made it so. And what is more powerful? I told you so? Who cares? Nobody cares what you knew 6 months ago. Nobody cares what you knew 6 months ago. Right? What are you doing today? What are you doing today? I have a good friend in India, J.D. Rathore. And I emailed him about 6 weeks ago, and I I said basically, my email basically in summary said, America has lost its damn mind. JD emailed me back from the other side of the world and agreed with me. Because people on the other side of the world think that. Just a little insight for you. And I was talking to him in my email a little bit about what actions to take, what do we do, the things that I care about, Black Lives Matter, things of that nature. Sometimes you go and you do and you engage in the right action that you know to do, and then, you know what, you get tired. You get really tired. And you don't know if you can do another day of it. And that's when you need to step back and take a bath, a bubble bath. Right? With candles lit and all that kind of stuff. But you get really tired. And then sometimes you wonder to yourself, was that the right thing to do? Am I engaging in the right way? If I was engaging in the right way, wouldn't I not get tired? Wouldn't I constantly be renewed by the Spirit? No. You would get tired. Jesus got tired. Jesus needed to go off by himself and say, I need to quiet your voices. I need to go over here and be quiet for a while. Right? And JD reminded me of what the Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, says about action. The Bhagavad Gita, I strongly recommend this translation by Stephen Mitchell, is the most sacred scripture in all of Hinduism. And the Bhagavad Gita is a fairly short read, but there's an entire chapter in here on the yoga of action. And the Gita says, not by avoiding actions does a man gain freedom from action. In other words, be still and know doesn't mean just sit there and don't move. Be still and know doesn't mean that if you meditate long enough, you won't have to do anything. Right? Be still and know, I believe, talks about a stillness that is deep within us that goes through our actions, that we carry with us through all of our actions. The Gita says, no one, not even for an instant, can exist without acting. I mean, breathing is an action. Just waking up is an action. And so we live in a dynamic world. We are dynamic beings within it, and our action is required. The Gita also instructs us to do any actions that you must do with no attachment to the results. Because our attachment to results is judgment. That's one of the biggest attachments that we have to results, is when we show up in judgment of what others are doing. You know, I used to think that probably, I'll be honest with you, I'm looking in my mirror, I used to believe that probably the falling apart would happen. I did. Probably about 6 months ago, 5 months ago, I thought, especially when the pandemic hit, I thought, I don't know if we can make it. I don't know if we can make it through this. And I have to tell you that today, more than ever, I believe that we are in for an evolution. Today, more than ever, I believe that this spiritual community is getting ready for something really, really powerful to happen. But we're going to have to show up for it. My very favorite verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Give me just the first part there. There we go. My very favorite verse in the Bhagavad Gita starts like this: if you want to be truly free. And I always want to just put that part up there first without the rest of it, because being truly free is what we're all here for. That's why we showed up today, and why you showed up today, and why we keep coming back, because spiritual journeying is about freedom. It's about achieving freedom, right? And here, one of the most sacred books in humankind says, if you want to be truly free, that ought to have us all on the edge of our seats. What is the end of that sentence? Right? Perform all actions as worship. You know, it doesn't say to sit on a cushion and meditate for hours. It doesn't say to ask someone to come live in your heart, or to convert to some religion, or to go to this mosque, or this temple, or this church. It doesn't say to read scriptures every day, not even the Gita. It doesn't say to join a Bible study. It doesn't say to withdraw from all action and sit there and meditate. And it sure as heck does not say to just sit back and watch the world go by with your judgment. It says to perform. to do, to engage. All actions as worship. What if, before every action, we said, "This I do to honor the divine. This I do to honor the divine." Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. When you go to India, by the way, those things aren't kept in the temple. You meet someone on the side of the street and they might say, "Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya." I would prefer that this spiritual community, a place that has been so valuable to so many people, I would prefer that it transforms into whatever allows it to do the work that it does so well, offering people a spiritual home when the rest of the world feels like a foreign country. When I walked in for the first time, I felt like a stranger in a strange land out there in the world. And I came in here, and this place offered breathing room and acceptance and celebration of who I was. And I was just one of many I know over the years who sat through the first service in tears and said, "I'm home." That, my friends, is worth saving. It is worth our right and sacred action. Namaste.
I will be a force for good in this world. Each day I'll give my best. I will be a source of constant love, bringing hope and happiness. It's more than just the words I say. It's more than just the prayers I pray. It's acts of kindness I do each day. I'll bring peace and joy and love. I will be a force for good in this world. I'll reach out to those in need. I will be a light where darkness lies. By example I will lead. It's more than just the words I say. It's more than just the prayers I pray. It's acts of kindness I do each day. I'll bring peace and joy and love. It's more than just the words I say. It's more than just the prayers I pray. With spirit as my source, I will stay the course. I will be a force for good in this world.
Let's say the prayer of protection together. The light of God surrounds us.
The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Thank you, God, for opening our hearts and for all we feel. We carry you with us as we leave this place, knowing a love that's so real. Here in this moment, we stand in our truth. We welcome the peace that it brings. God, as you guide us, renew and remind us that you are the reason we sing. God, as you guide us, renew and remind us that you are the reason we sing.
Have a great week, everyone.